Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe. And the name of my channel is Seven Restore Through It. And I want you to know I love you and get your mental health check, okay? That's what it's all about here, okay? But get back to the point. My mom, after my dad died, my mom, she grieved the best she knew how. And she hooked up with this young dude. Um, anyway, but I guess that was her grieving process, you know what I'm saying? And she met the young dude, she stayed with him a while, you know what I'm saying? And they hooked up and everything like that. And I guess it made her feel more young again and loved again, and however you want to put it. But anyway, but she did the best she knew how. But I was glad to see her not being abused anymore under that circumstance that my father was taking her through. But and then she went out and she bought her a car. It was blue. It was a Lincoln Town car, and that she really started feeling herself. You know, she was dressing. She would go out. She would enjoy her life. Okay, but and she I began to see a smile on her face where before I really didn't see a smile on her face. But by her doing what she had to do to cope, hey, it is what it is. And she did the best she know how. But she started selling everything and in the house after my father died and everything. And so we decided to move down here to Pensacola, Florida, and that's where it all began. But I thank my mom for being my mom, and if I knew what I knew now, I could have talked to her and, you know, as a daughter and stuff like that. But we was real tight. We would hang together. We would talk. She would cook ribs and, homemade food, and she would just cook food from scratch and everything. But we finally moved down here with my grandparents and everything. She brought the young dude with her, but I don't know how my grandmother, and my granddaddy dealt with that, but I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's they fight. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and my uncle, he was both of my uncles was living there. He finally got himself together after he came back home from Vietnam, and my grandmother and them was like um, trying to teach him how to do things again because his mind was messed up after he came back from Vietnam. And it was like I don't, I didn't, as me being a child, I didn't know what to say or what to do. But I remember him not being right in the head after Vietnam. And a lot of people are still not right with their mental health after Vietnam, after wars, after seeing traumatic problems and mental health issues, and seeing that because that's not a everyday thing. You see stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But when you go fight in the war, you see stuff that you wouldn't normally see in an everyday setting. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was real. Woo! But after seeing my mom go through the abuse, I was used to seeing and different stuff that mental health wise really kicked in my mind to see that people go through mental health problems, stress, abuse, traumatic, um, I'll just say traumatic issues, and mental health wise in their mind, and seeing stuff around you, it really affect your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know how to process that and go through that. But when you look at everyday issues, you're going down the street, you're going riding, but some stuff, you might see an accident, you might see a child get hit by a car or something like that. But far as seeing really issues or mental health issues, you're not used to that. But get back to the point. My uncle ended up having a child. My mom ended up, we all end up getting together and just having family get-togethers and just being around each other. And one of my aunties that was my mama's sister. She had this cold black. I wouldn't say cold black, but she was. How would I say? She had beautiful black skin and this curly hair, which was back in that time they had. Excuse me, y'all. I have hot flashes. I'm sorry, but this is going through the change. Okay, just that's why I'm sweating. Okay, and the change is going through life. I don't know how to explain it, but I have hot flashes. Okay, but get back to the point. But mental health wise, you see a lot of stuff that affect your mind, and you don't know how to process it, but you just keep going. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, but it's in the back of your mind that how do I deal with this? How do I process this mental health issue or problem for me to function and just get through the today, the next day, and just keep on going. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of stuff you see, you be like, huh? You know, like drugs. Why do you people get on drugs? A mental health issue because you went through some in your childhood, or you think it's easy to get on drugs and it'll just I'll just do it this one time, it'll be all right. But no, drinking, you know what I'm saying? I don't knock nobody for what they do, hey. But I'll tell you what, you keep on doing the same thing, you're gonna get the same results, okay? You need to change, okay? But get back to my mom, she started drinking. She was already drinking, but when you got diabetes and you got drinking, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And then my uncle, one of my uncles, he was like a drinking, but he did the best he could do. I guess he been through some issues. But my other uncle, he was in Vietnam, but et cetera, et cetera. But the thing about it is mental health. You know what I'm saying? It's something deep within you for you to function like that every day. You know what I'm saying? Of different stuff that's going on in that mind up there. But you just got to keep going. But you got to talk about it and get it out. That way you can help somebody. Hey, I went through this. Hey, I went through this. This is how I overcome. This is how God brought me through. And I'm going to say, God brought me through a lot of issues that I went through in my life. And I thank him for it. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't be here today without the help of my Lord. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate him. I really do. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't have did it without him. But my mom, she did the best she could do. You know what I'm saying? And my brothers and sisters, my brother, he tell me today that he wish he had a father. No, I understand you wanted a father, but I don't think my father couldn't have did. He could have did better. And my brother, he said he wanted a father, but yeah, how do you deal with a father that's abusive? You know what I'm saying? And he might whoop on you or do things. You know what I'm saying? How do you process that? You know what I'm saying? And so by me, my mother, and me being a big sister, I did the best I could to help my mom raise my brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? I would, you know, take care of them while she go do her thing. You know what I'm saying? Go enjoy her life, and I did the best I could. You know what I'm saying? But I just kept on processing it, kept on processing. But it's still stuck in my mind that my mom went through that. You know what I'm saying? And I had to deal with it. But she kept on. She lived, and I remember we had a Great Dane, and these people that gave us a Great Dane. When they gave us the Great Dane, we had him for a while. He would go to the school. He would walk my brothers and sisters to school, and he would turn around and he would come back home. And he was just, he was just a good dog. You know what I'm saying? He was gray and had little spots on it with his big head self. But yeah, and my mom, she finally got herself together. She was going on, but I ended up getting raped by my mom's boyfriend that she ended up going with. and that was a really a traumatic issue on top of the issue I was already going through about my dad abusing my mom. So that was another issue, mental health issue. On top of that mental health issue, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of hard for me to process that, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't deserve that. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? And I never would have thought, I'm not saying I would be naive, but I wouldn't thought of him ever doing that, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. It's a lot of stuff that you go through in life that you got to realize that sometimes it can be a lesson and a blessing too. But I want you to know that I care about you, and if you went through issues like that, I'm sorry for that issue, and it was not your fault. It was not your fault. It's the other person's fault. But forgive them because they know not what they do. Okay, but keep on living your life. Talk about it. Go to a psychiatrist or mental health place and talk about it and get it out of you, because you might take it out on somebody. You might do something you will regret, and that you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that. But get back to my mom. She was, you know, she did the best she could. She didn't know how to process it of being alone and being adult, I guess, of being responsible, of being living without my dad, I guess, because I never seen her, or she never talked about her life as not being with my dad. So that's another issue. But it's all good. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? She lived the best she knew how. But the get back to the Great Dane, he would we had got rid of him. It gave him to somebody where in Warrington, and come to find out, he found his way back to us in Montclair, because that's where my mom stayed at. And come to find out, he left when we gave him to the dog, gave the Great Dane to the people. He turned around and found his way back to us at our house. And so I was at home one night, and that was with my first husband. The Great Dane ended up finding himself back to my mom's house. So my mom came and knocked on the door and said, "Your dog back?" I'm like, what dog? You know what I'm saying? But I had to think it was the Great Dane. So I don't know what I did with the Great Dane, but he was a good dog. He was a good dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. He would stay in the house with us and stuff, but I ain't really with dogs in the house. But everybody got their own thing. Okay, okay. That's your babies. Do you? Uh, but yeah. But my mom, she coped the best she knew how. Yeah, yeah. But I ended up getting after my mom boyfriend raping me. We had to call the police. We had to do a rape kit and everything like that, and just do everything about the rape kit and everything like that. But yeah, I didn't. How do you process something like that? You know what I'm saying? And I end up. I'm gonna show you how things work. I broke into my grandmother's house, which they used to have these little windows that you could flip up. Back in the 60s and 70s, they had that little panel where you could flip up. And so the way my grandmama's house was made, you could flip it up and you can put your hand through there and open the door. So I went in there and got her pistol, because I was going to kill the dude, my mama's boyfriend, because he raped me. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that saved me, that 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 little pin wasn't in the gun, and I got the pistol and everything, and I was gonna kill him. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? My daddy, you know what I'm saying? My daddy ain't never touched me, so why you gonna come in and do nothing like that? But I'm not taking up for my dad if he would have did that. But the point of it is, how you gonna rape me? You know what I'm saying? So it rocked on. So I remember one time, me and him and my mom had got into a fight, and I pulled a knife out and gonna stab him. But yeah, but the and get back to the gun. The gun didn't go off because of the pin. But it's all good, you know. But I thank God for me not killing him because I didn't deserve to be raped. I didn't. That was, you know what I'm saying. You going with my mama. What tempt you to wanna? That just show you how mental health, his mind, his thinking, or anybody else thinking. Why would you want to do something like that? You know what I'm saying? And anybody that touch a young child, they need to they need to put you under the jail. Serious. That's you wrong. You're very wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? And you need to go get yourself checked. Stop touching these children. There's other stuff out there you can touch, other women that'll be glad to give you something. Don't leave these children alone. Leave these children alone. That's off limits. That's off limits. And raping is off limits. Period. Don't do that. Don't do that. Something's wrong with your mind. Okay? But yeah. But she grieved the best she knew how, and she kept on living. But she ended up dying because she was a diabetic, and she was drinking, I guess, to process what she had went through, you know. But yeah, so that's why I had to end up raising my brothers and sisters, because my mom, she did the best she know how to live in her life. But we helped her through it. You know, we would go places, her and my brothers and sisters, and we would just enjoy our time together without all that drama, abuse, and all that from my dad. But I'm happy that she lived a long time, you know, from what she went through. You know, my mom and my brothers and sisters, they would go to the water because down here in Florida they got the beaches and the little places that you can go with the water and stuff like that. Whenever you come to Florida, visit the beaches, enjoy patties. But not trying to advertise, but they got good food and it's a good beach. But yeah, but it rocked on. You know what I'm saying? And so one day we all had my uncles. They had a picnic at the house and a get together. So my mom's boyfriend, I guess he got to acting a donkey, getting drunk or whatever. So we all jumped on him, and he got away from us and ended up leaving. But that was a good thing, you know what I'm saying? But it's just life, you know what I'm saying? You go through, you live and you learn, and you cope, you know, in life. But that's the way she lived her life. And my brothers and sisters, they end up seeing my mom have a massive heart attack in front of my brothers and sisters, and I didn't know. They don't talk about it, but that was a trauma they saw. You know what I'm saying? And it really bothered me to see that, but that was something she had to go through with. You know, she coped and lived the best she know how with my brothers and sisters, and that life was very traumatizing for her to live because she never got a handle on things after my father died. You know, she would cope, get it together, and then all of a sudden it would pull back. But I can understand it was mental health that she was going through because she was trying to cope the best she know how at that time. And my grandmother and my grandfather, they were still living then, and they would come by the house and check on us and see how she was doing, and I would come by sometime and check on her. But I, you know, I can always remember the good times with my mom. You know, she would cook ribs and food, and just different stuff and biscuits, and she was a real cool lady. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but my grandfather and my grandmother, would cook too, and we would all go over their house, and we would all just have to be a family and just enjoy each other company. But to get back to my auntie, she would when she had that she had that cold black curly hair, and she was also something went on with her too because she was an alcoholic. Something happened in her life to have her drinking, because I remember she used to drink white Pope, and one time I'm gonna tell you, I drank some white Pope. Woo! My my one of my friends, one of my girlfriends that was when I was a child, she ended up having to walk me home because that white Poke ain't no joke. If you ever, like, they had Boone's Farm, they had what they had back then, Boone's Farm, MD 2020, just what I'm saying, white Pope, just a lot of stuff, Bull, and that was my mama's favorite drink. She would drink Bulls, and smoke Winston cigarettes, and she had long, long fingernails. But you know, I'm thinking back now how she lived the best she know how, cause I think really she was dealing with some things, you know, and I think if it weren't for my brothers and sisters, I don't know, you know, but she lived. She lived about, I say, about 20 years, because she died at an early age, and my father also died of an early age. But me, I broke that generational curse by coming in, getting myself together, and I want to tell you something. I asked God for 125 years to live, and I live now. My children, my husband now, which is my second husband. I live where I could get myself together and live for my children, and most of all myself and my husband, where I don't have any regrets or no problems up here. And I talk about it and I get it out, and I don't hold nothing, and I don't hold no punches. I'm just a straight up, down to earth person. And I want to thank you for being here. I want you to know I love you, and you keep on living and get yourself checked by a mental health professional. Thank you.